everybody, and welcome to Campus Debates Season 2. Thank you. This is Campus Debate Season 2, brought to you by the Debate Association of Kenya. My name is Mercy Vugutsa, and I will be your host for tonight. Now, to our loyal viewers, welcome back to yet another episode. I know you're excited to see the debaters give you a run for your money. And if this is your first time viewing, thank you so much for tuning in to KTN at 8 p.m. on Monday night. We thank you for spending your night with us. With that, I know you're wondering, what exactly is Campus Debates? Campus Debates is a show where intellectuals come together to have discussions about anything and everything. Could be government issues, could be societal issues, could even be relationships, but I mean, we don't pick and choose. Now, for tonight, I think I need to explain what exactly this season looks like. It's about teams coming together. They have 2 preliminary rounds. They debate against each other, and then if you win, you get 3 points. If you lose, you get 1 point. But the benefit of it all, you get good speaker scores, and with that, you might not have to fight for your lives at the end of the round. Sounds amazing, doesn't it? Yes. So, with that, I think we can now get on to the debate and understand which teams are debating against each other and all of that. From side proposition, we have JKUA University representing their school. We will welcome them to stage. And from side opposition, we have the school from Tangaza University being represented by yet again another comeback for them. Now, I know you're wondering, what are the names of these speakers? So I will give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. They can say their names and something interesting about them, then we can move on. Side proposition.
Hi guys, my name is George Kirito Chege. I am a debater, a seasoned debater, and I am from JKUA. Something interesting about me. Well, once again, I would like to point out that my friend, his name is Tharu, Tharru, has dropped an EP, and it's a very interesting listen. I know I haven't talked about something interesting about me, but my friend is more interesting than me, so there you go.
Hi everyone, my name is Leon Agola. I am also a student at JKUA, studying civil engineering. As for something interesting about me, George took the lines out of my mouth. I am not interesting, but I have interesting friends like George.
From side proposition, we get to understand they might not be interesting, but they surround themselves with interesting people, so it's a win-win for them. Now, side opposition, we can allow you to introduce yourselves.
Hello, everyone. My name is David Onyango from Tangaza University College. I am a debater, and I love debating. And what makes me more happy is that I managed to be a teacher of mathematics. Sasa mimi ni mwalimu wa mathematics.
Hello everyone. I will start by my name is Alexander Buliba. I will go to our senior judge. Last time he said that he only loves a team that supports. He supports Man City and any team that plays against Manchester United. The team that lost 4-3 at the dying minute. I'm still mwalimu wa maths with my brother. Very interesting in maths. We are seeing a civil engineering, so you have all mathematicians on the table. And that's all about me, nothing else.
From side opposition, they teach mathematics, and that's the most unique thing about them. We appreciate them for that. Now, a few things you need to understand. The speakers before you today are in their second preliminary round. You watched them a few episodes back. If you're a loyal viewer, I'm sure you can remember them from somewhere. But we welcome them to this next round. They're still fighting for their lives. Hopefully one will get 3 points and another 1 point. We'll see. Now, to welcome our adjudication panel, I will invite the chair, Brian Mwindi, to introduce him and the rest.
Oh, thank you so much, Mercy. Actually, to all our loyal viewers, this is a shout out to you thank you for always supporting us with your time, and thank you for tuning in to a show that brings you closer to your heart's desires of becoming like the best communication person you can ever be. Mwalimu wa maths, ukiulizwa what do you bring to the table, tell your partner you don't only know how to dress well, but you're mentally attractive. Prove that on the stage.
Hello, everyone. This is Rotish Godwin, the Baron. I spread smiles. I want everyone smiling. I want to see everyone smiling kindly. uh, to the guys here, welcome. Let's listen to your minds and let's spread smiles as we speak our brains out. Welcome.
Hi guys, I'm Winnie Sydney. I'm glad to be part of the panelists. I'm looking forward for a mind-blowing session. Thank you.
You have heard it from the judges. They're looking forward to an interesting session with both teams from JKUA and Tangaza. Hopefully, they will do exactly that. Now, I know you're tired of all this chit-chat. You're here for a debate, so we'll get on to the debate. The motion for this round reads, this House believes that clubs should close at 11 p.m. for public safety and improved quality of life. We will allow the debaters to engage with this lovely motion, and with that, we welcome side proposition to begin the case. Hear, hear.
Once again, and I will never tire of plugging this guy, Thairu, Thairu. He dropped a song called, an EP called Frequency Modulations. It's on Spotify. Please go listen to it. With that, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. This House believes that clubs should close at 11 p.m. for public safety and improved quality of life. A few things to note here, panel. 1, this is not a motion where our burden is to prove that everything is going to be perfect in our world. As said in the motion, it talks about improved quality of life. So if we can prove that to you, if we can prove that things actually improve in our world, even we're going to try and prove that things improve beyond a marginal degree, but even if we do prove that there is an actual tangible improvement in our side of the world, then we think we have fulfilled our burden. For our case, we are trying to strike a policy between autonomy and the public good. That is the burden that lies on side proposition. For side opposition, their burden is to prove that the status quo of partying all night without any consideration for the public good is the best way to go about clubs and the regulation of clubs. And that is presumably what the status quo looks like. In the current status quo, you can go to Quiver, you can go to, I don't know, Blankets and Wine. Wherever you go, people go to party. You can go to all of those places and stay there the whole night and get out at whatever point in time you want to. If you feel like you've had enough fun at 2 a.m., that's when you're going to get out of the club. If you feel like you've had enough fun up to 3 a.m., that's when you're going to get out of the club. Now, one of the biggest problems with this, and this is probably something that we solve really well on our side of the world, is the unpredictability of transit at night. Now, realize this. You're going to have a lot of drunk people who are going to get more and more drunk as the night progresses, making bad decisions. So you're going to find somebody coming in and saying, oh, at 2 a.m., well, I want to see Ngong Hills, and I want to go there right now or something. Then they decide they're going to travel. I want to go and see this, whatever place you feel like you want to go when you are drunk. And so you'll find that those spontaneous and impulsive decisions on travel are going to be made at a very intense frequency between the hours of 12 midnight and 6 a.m. So that means there's a lot of drunk people on the roads making a lot of bad decisions. That's going to create a lot of room for a lot of road accidents. In our side of the world, we're not here to claim that road accidents suddenly disappear on our side of the world. What we are coming in to say is that the fact that everybody knows that 11 p.m. is when bars are going to be closed means that by the time 11 p.m. comes about, you will have finished all of your prep game activities, and go to wherever you need to go. That means by the time 12 midnight arrives, everybody is roughly settled where they want to go. That means the likelihood for road accidents is minimized in our world. You're not going to have people traveling from clubs to wherever they want to go between the hours of 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. So we think that's a benefit in our side of the world. Secondly, we think that the fact that we still allow, and this is back to the point on balance, we think the fact that we still allow people to party, we still allow people to indulge in alcohol and whatever they want to do up to 11 p.m. shows that there is a willingness on the part of side proposition to allow people to indulge themselves. You can still do all of these things that we want to, that you'd like to do. However, the fact that we are setting this policy of 11 p.m. and the fact that everybody is going to be aware of this policy means that the likelihood of intention is more likely to be carried over from everyone. So if everybody knows that it's 11 p.m., then you're probably going to ask your friend, well, why do we have to close at 11 p.m.? Well, it's the law. Why did they create this law? Well, you know, they don't want people traveling around at night and things like that. We think those kinds of discussions around the fact that, around the fact of 11 p.m. being the time when closing happens is more likely going to make people aware of the intention behind the policy. But nonetheless, this policy is obviously going to be carried over with mass awareness and education and the like. Regardless, though, people are still going to try and as well ensure that they'll have done, they'll have gotten all of their activities done by 11 p.m. so that they go wherever they need to go. So we think that is a good, that's something good in our world. What else do we have to say on this? We also have to talk about, and my partner will expound on this more. I've talked about, one, the burdens. I've talked about, two, how this policy is going to affect transportation and accidents and of the like. But my partner is going to come in and talk about the environment of clubs and the actors who are involved, and with that actually raise the issue of likelihood of harm. And that is more likely going to be proven as well by my partner. But the point of all of this is to show that at the end of the day, this policy is trying to consider the needs of the general public, trying to understand that at a certain point in time, when bars close at 11 p.m., anybody who is around that vicinity isn't going to be affected with the loud, raucous noise that's going to be there. So by 12 midnight, it's peaceful, everybody is asleep, which means that there's going to be more of a peaceful and serene environment that is created for whoever's going to be around there. So that is also a benefit for the neighborhoods that actually have these bars within them. What else is there to talk about? We also have the idea that the quality of life itself is going to be improved. By virtue of the fact that bars are closed at 11, it means that you're less likely to drink. Because if you're going to stay there past 11, you're going to say, well, let's have one more shot. And how about another? How about we actually get another bottle? But if you're going to have less alcohol consumption, then that in itself is improving your quality of life. My partner will expound more, but for now, I rest my case. Frequency Modulations by Dhairu. Check it out on Spotify. Thank you.
We thank proposition side for that amazing speech, and with that, we welcome side opposition to begin their case. Hear, hear.
Thank you very much. I start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, you may think that the prop has pregnant points, but until we'll terminate that pregnancy to see that they had no point in this particular scenario. I'm here to oppose the motion that says that this House believes that clubs should be closed at 11 p.m. for public safety and improved quality of life. First, I will begin by refuting some of the points we've been given by the prop. We began by speaking about the improvement in life, the key terms which was here that they never defined. In the times when you are talking about the improved life, yes, we want an improved life. But how are we going to improve life when we are still consuming this particular brews in clubs? What we can say, in order to improve the life, we either restrict people from getting into this bar so that we have people with good minds, or because as we will be fighting by placing the time to be at 11 p.m., people will be fighting with this particular time. As we remember the times of Corona, When Corona was there was something called curfew. At time of curfew, people are trying to fight the time so that they can reach home very early. And in the process, you could see accidents taking place very occasionally. So at the same time, if we place this time to be at 11, by 11 we should be restricted to come out from the bus, I'm very sure that there will be problems. People will now be flocking in this particular place fighting with time, and this will bring a lot of chaos in this scenario. Then we talk about the flooding in the clubs. As we know that the time has been restricted, that now this particular time you should now be leaving at 11 p.m. Many people will be taking this opportunity, the little time they have, so that they can consume these particular liquors in these particular clubs. So this one brings about floodings. And you know what happens when people flood in a particular area. In this scenario, we can be imposed to things like immoralities and contagious diseases. As we flock together, we'll be causing some diseases among ourselves, and this can bring a lot of problems. So we, as the people of a proposition, I want to tell you why we should not close the bus strictly by 11 p.m. Why am I saying this? As a person who has gone to the bar or the clubs to take something, you've gone there to release the stress you have as a person. And if you go there and by 11 p.m. you're told to leave the house, to leave to your house, you'll be still having some problems with in your mentality. You are going to project it to the people in the house, and will cause problem to the wives or to the children who are in the house. You better remain in the club. You better remain in the club past 11 so that you cannot project the hunger you have to the people back at home. So it's better we still remain here until late so that we can also consume or absorb the alcohol content that we have taken so that we don't project this one to the home area. Yes?
Are you therefore saying that alcohol is more or less an excuse for abuse within marital homes?
That's not my point, but due to time, he will come and answer that. The second thing, we also have something called freedom of choice. We people, we have the freedom of choice when to be at a particular place. We should not be restricted on what to do because we have the ability to see the right and the wrong in this scenario. So each and every person knows the best that is good for his or her life. So when you are there, and something we must also come to understand here, that no matter what the time is, a rotten mango is a rotten mango. No matter how small it is, it's always rotten. If we have imposed ourselves to alcohol, the time that we take the alcohol that can be consumed in 1 hour is the same as the alcohol that can be consumed in 24 hours. So restricting this time will not help this particular scenario. PY?
Did you just say you can take alcohol both 24 hours in 1 hour?
I've said the alcohol content that you can take in 1 hour is the same as the same content you can take in 24 hours. So there is nothing problem by restricting this particular hours of taking this particular liquor. The thing is we should just realize ourselves and know what we should consume and why we should consume this amount of alcohol.
So with all that, how does it improve public safety and improve quality of life?
Right, that's what I was waiting for. As you stay in the bars or in the club for 24 hours, my friend, you will not be outside to bring challenges to the people by breaking down their property or going back to the village and destroying people's peace of mind because you are within the club's area. You will not get that time to go outside and destroy people because I know very well that if you leave by 11 p.m., you will still we will still have the alcohol content in your brain and you will be stabbing on the villages or the people in the villages. That's why we are trying to find a way that we restrict these people in this particular area by not leaving them by 11 p.m. And that's my submission.
Now, side proposition tells you that the only way to ensure safety and strike a balance between autonomy and public good is to actually restrict clubs to 11 p.m. Side opposition tells you there is no safety that's going to be guaranteed there, and there's no justification for taking away the whole idea of autonomy in and of itself. I hope they actually swayed you to believe their arguments, but if they didn't, there's still some episodes where the second speakers have another opportunity to sway you further. We'll be going on a short break, a few minutes, so do not move a muscle, do not even move from your seat, because we will be back in a few minutes to continue thank you so much for hanging on and willing to listen to the arguments that we have for you. Now, I hope you're as eager as I am to hear what the rest of the speakers have for us. And with that, we welcome Side Proposition to continue their case. Hear, hear.
I'll first of all start with a bit of rebuttals and then talk about trying to put this entire debate into context. First of all, using the example of COVID is rather inept because this was a peculiar time, and therefore some of the scenarios he's talking about are not things that exist right now. For example, if you're talking about curfews being at 11, it means that everyone else was going at home. Here we're just talking about clubs closing at 11. So you cannot use COVID as an intuition prompt as to why it was better to keep clubs open. Secondly, even if we are to take that best case of COVID, more people were following the rules instead of breaking them. So even if he talks about people rushing into clubs trying to get there before 11 p.m., that's simply something that we never saw. I mean, no one was flocking the clubs to go and buy alcohol. People were taking it and going to their homes. Thirdly, when he talks about clubs being places where people are going to release their stress, this is something that is actually very inaccurate. One, there are better ways in which you can release your stresses. You can go and walk on Gong Hills. You can go and take meditation classes, for all we know. Secondly, is that alcohol also cannot be used as an excuse for abuse. The fact is, it's being taken as a stimulant. However, beyond a certain point, it becomes a depressant. So all of those problems you're trying to avoid in terms of releasing stress just come back and become more. That's why people end up going to beat their wives. So let's go into our case as to why we believe closing clubs at 11 p.m. is going to be the best for public safety and improving the quality of life. First things first, we need to acknowledge the nature of clubs and bars and what they look like. These are places that are going to be selling alcohol to people, and they're places that are going to be primed for it. So the lighting, the mood, the music is simply to encourage you to take more and more alcohol, yeah? So in Kenya, people go to clubs at around 11 o'clock because the whole notion of pre-game and wanting to get there when you're already hyped up. Now, we end up having, within clubs, you have the people who frequent these clubs. We also have the people who work at the clubs who end up even harming people, and I'm going to delve into it more. So first things first, alcohol and judgment. As I've already said, alcohol tends to impair the judgment of people. So it makes them mess up even in normal scenarios. Now, if you're having a club where the environment is primed for you to buy more and more alcohol, all you're doing is just buying more and more alcohol to go and mess up. So people are more likely to engage in fights amongst themselves, amongst other customers, because there are those perceived microaggressions. Someone steps on your shoe, you feel that it's wrong, and you throw a bottle at them. That's not something you'll usually do, but because you have alcohol in your system, you're going to do it. Now, what does this do? One, it decreases the public safety of the people within those clubs themselves. So you're finding people hurling bottles at each other, hurling chairs at each other, all because of microaggressions that have been put there against them. Secondly, the security people who are supposed to be there to protect these people are going to lash out at them because these people are bad for business. And so what happens? They end up detaining the people who are drinking, and they end up putting them in cells and whatnot. And unfortunately, some of these people even end up getting killed. So, and we've seen scenarios of this happening all the time. There's so many times when you complain about how bouncers kill people who are just there. Some of them even innocent bystanders who are just coming in to try and take their friend out of it. Yeah? And we find that at this point, they really don't care about whether you've taken alcohol or not. They're simply trying to maintain the peace. So they're going to come in and take you out and beat you up because you've taken alcohol and you're fighting with everyone. And so, again, we ask, is this the improved quality of life that you're looking for, given that this is a place that is primed to sell you alcohol and it's going to make you make such decisions? Secondly, is to talk about risky behavior. So the fact that alcohol impairs your judgment, you're more likely to engage in risky behavior while in clubs. So for example, this ranges from things as comical as men getting mchele put in their drinks, and we've had so many scenarios of this. And for women, darkly, we have everything ranging from groping all the way to sexual assault, because people are not thinking straight. These are not people who, in the normal society, will be doing things like this. However, in clubs where people are primed for this, the environment primes you up for this, you find that it's more likely that such situations happen. We've heard of so many scenarios where women are getting groped. There are people who get sexually assaulted within these places, all because there's so much alcohol that is going around, and it ends up being hampering them. Thirdly is talking about the fact that clubs closing at 11 p.m. just ends up bringing a more peaceful and serene environment. Now, this is something I would like to restrict to Kenya and Nairobi in particular. Now, with urban growth, we've seen that clubs are tending to move outside of the CBD. And unfortunately, they're encroaching into estates. This is something that has been talked about often, how these clubs end up making so much noise for families, some of them young, and they cannot get quality sleep in their houses. And these are not people who are going to clubs. These are people who are actually just going home to rest. Now, unfortunately, all of these people now, the people who end up going to clubs say that they're trying to practice their individual autonomy. However, this is at the risk of the public safety and the improved quality of life, because now people who are not engaging with that club life don't end up having less quality sleep because there's noise throughout the night from whatever time they open up to morning. We've heard of situations like Alut and whatnot. And so, because of this, we end up finding a scenario where the peaceful and serene environment that customers are promised when they're buying the houses is not there at all, because clubs are encroaching into these estates and they're coming into, trying to sell alcohol to these people. Also, adding on the whole aspect of unpredictability of transit, as I finish, is the fact that people are going to make irrational decisions, as George told you. And secondly, is the fact that not everyone has access to transit at these hours. So you're finding people who, because they feel brave because they have alcohol, engage in more risky behavior because they want to get homes, or they want to their homes, or they want to club hop. So they end up just walking on the roads, or sometimes waiting for public transit, and then they end up being the victims of muggings and whatnot. So because of these reasons, we believe that clubs should close at 11 p.m. to improve public safety and improve the quality of lives of people going to clubs and people who do not go to clubs. Thank you.
Side proposition has put their best foot forward, and with that, we welcome side opposition to continue the argument. Here, here.
Okay, I'll start my speech in 1, 2, 3. First of all, sending greetings at home to my mom and my family and everyone who is watching me. First of all, dear people outside there and inside here, we are being lied and you cannot see the lie. These people have not yet even proven how they improve the quality of life. If you still drink at 11 p.m. and you still have to rush home at that same 11 p.m., accidents will still occur in the world. What if even they have not told us at what time we are opening at these clubs? That's the first issue. If we open the clubs early and they're still closing at that 11 p.m., accidents will still occur. They have not proven that. When he's talking about community, blah, 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 the noise, these clubs can be used, we can create policies that these clubs create those rooms to have soundproofed walls that sound cannot go outside to the community. That's the first thing when you create policies. These policies will help in this community. Now, let me give you alternatives of how to improve quality of lives even if people are still drinking. One, we have improving lightenings in the public areas. Like, for example, right now, last scenario we had, ladies being chopped off their body parts. This was happening due to what? These clubs being still opened at that 11 p.m. because human nature, we know that these clubs are being opened at this time. Who will be at risk? I will look for that person who will go outside alone to make sure that I pick that person and do what is known as human trafficking. How in their world are they still avoiding that? But in our world, we are telling you, we shall create policies that this club to close even at 2 or 3 or 4 p.m. And they are enclosed in that room, and the people who are investigating or who are watching these people, like the guards and everybody, are mandatory to keep the safety of these people by placing CCTVs and every other thing in those clubs. These people are even not considering the community. We can do something known as community engagement programs rather than imposing blanket restriction on clubs operating on their hours. Why am I saying blanket? It's because even if you tell them to close at that 11 p.m., yesterday when I was watching TV, Kenya is ranked at number 126 on corruption. And we know that humans will tend to do what is known as bribery so that they can still be in those clubs at that time and bypass that time. How are they solving that problem in their world? Let me first of all answer your POI that you asked on the abuse behavior. One thing, human are derived on their conception of their body. If I'm drunk and that drunkenness makes me to speak well, I will make sure I go drink so that I come and speak well. If that drunkenness takes me to hit my wife. I will behave that because that drunkenness has taken me there. In their world, it's still happening. In our world, it's still happening. But what are we doing? We are trying to make sure, even if we are closing this bar at 2 or 3, those people get out of there, going home, their kids and their families have all woken up, they are doing their things. They will even not have that time to beat their children because their children are in school. One, if we introduce the community, there will be that community education, parent education, and school to children education. In their world, they're not showing us how even this thing will not affect our kids. Quality life is what I want to start with. When I talk about public safety, I've told you about improvement of street lights and everything, and policies and everything. They are not solving to us how human trafficking will happen. Freedom of choice, that's what I want to talk about. Freedom of choice in human, everyone has a freedom to do what they want. If you want to be a thief, you will be a thief, even if your parent beat you for 100 years. If you want to be an alcoholist, you will be an alcoholist for 100 years. There will no way somebody will come and restrict your peace. And he was talking about COVID. We saw these things in COVID. People were rushing in every manner to make sure they beat that time. And people were being killed during that time. I'll take your PI. Please, you are really distracting my piece of speech. So, relax. You talked about alcohol being a killer effect in the society. If you are a human and you are behaving not like a human, like an animal, how do you expect us as government to come and help you? Last time we had the doctors saying somebody was fallen into these ditches and died. Then they were blaming who? The clubs. You have to be a human responsible person to go to those clubs. You have that instinct to go to those clubs. I want us to prevent the issue of them telling us that in their world is much perfect. In our world, we shall even reduce the risks of human trafficking, the risks of people driving home drunk and causing accident. Because this person at that time, remember, if you drink, the more you fall weak to your body. Your body will still come to be weak, and you will realize some point you are asleep. When you wake up at 3 or 4, you are now realizing, hey, the alcohol in my body is almost over. Let me go home. You go home very sober. Instead of going home, you're already drunk. First thing. You reach home, you find your wife has not cooked. You beat them. Are you seeing? So in their world, it's quite more mess at the family background than in our world. As I finish, they talked about transit at night. Look, still they're talking about transport. How will these people go home? Already this person is drunk at 11 p.m. But in our world, at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m., cars are traveling. So they can be able to be transported back to their places and have peace and freedom. So to my dear adjudicators and the members of public, let me tell you, let's stop creating problems for ourselves by telling these people to go home at 11 p.m. Instead, we should add time to even 4 p.m. so that these people go, drink, sleep over in those clubs, and then go back home, well sound in mind, because I know when you drink, you'll later sleep. Thank you, as I rest my case.
Well, debaters have a knack on pulling on your heartstrings. The question is, have the debaters today pulled on yours, or do you still need to be convinced further? Proposition argues that judgment is impaired further by the continuous consumption of alcohol, so you need to close these clubs at 11 p.m. But side opposition tells you accidents will still happen, all the harm you're trying to push will still happen when you close at 11 p.m. They think there are other solutions to the problem that don't necessarily mean closing the club at 11 p.m. Feel free to engage with us on X at KTN Home with the hashtag Campus Debates, or message us on WhatsApp through the number 0759 434389. 0759 434389. We are willing and ready to listen to your opinions, suggestions, and any other argument you would have run for this particular motion. And with that, we'll be taking a very short commercial break to come back to listen to our input for this season's recording. Now, if you missed the debate, here's a short recap for what happened in its entirety. Side proposition tell you to strike a balance between autonomy and public good, then you need to restrict clubs to 11 p.m. But side opposition tells you, even if you restrict to 11 p.m., there's no good that's going to happen for the public, even safety is not going to be guaranteed. That's basically what happened. Now, I know you're wondering who exactly has swayed the judges and who has not. I think the judges need some little bit of more assurance. With that, they'll be asking a question, one question to side proposition, another question to side opposition, to give them a chance to defend themselves for 1 more minute. We welcome Godwin Rotich to ask a question to side proposition.
The motion went this way. This House believes that clubs should close at 11 p.m. for public safety and quality of life. My question comes on the quality of life. I'm sure for your quality of life to be where you want it to be, you must see it vis-a-vis the payment you're getting, whichever place you're working at. Let's take an example of the people who are working in clubs in Kenya. They are part of the public around, maybe for example here in Kenya, there are so many people. If you're working from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m., I am sure you're going to be paid a certain amount of money. If you're working from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., you're going to be paid a certain amount of money, which is less, right? Can this amount of money provide you with the quality of life that you will want if you're working less hours? And prove this to us with the fact that it's going to close at 11 p.m. Are they going to be paid for the hours they are not working because we're providing quality life, right? Prove that. Thanks.
We thank that judge for that question. We welcome Sydney to ask a question to side opposition.
Okay, to the opposition side, can you provide evidence where later closure times for clubs have positively contributed to public safety and quality life, contrary to the proposition concerns? Thank you.
The debaters have had their questions. We welcome side proposition to defend their case for 1 more minute.
So I'm just going to be quick about it. When you talk about quality of life, we cannot restrict it just to payment because the amount of risk that they expose themselves in when they're there from 7 p.m. up to 6 a.m. far supersedes whatever pay that they're getting, even in status quo. So even if we reduce that time, even if they're getting paid less, we believe that the marginal profit that they get in terms of their improved quality of life is much better because it's not just restricted to payment. It can also be about just the work environment that they're getting. Because remember, as we pointed out, if when you're in a place that is primed to sell you alcohol and you're engaging in risky behavior, when you're trying to hull bottles, you might end up hulling it at one of these people who is working there. So even if they're working from 7 to 7 p.m. the next day, the amount of money that they're making will not necessarily improve their quality of life. However, there's something small that I wanted to just throw at the opposition. Now, if they talk about Kenya being very corrupt and being at number 126 in the index, so what is the likelihood that all of the programs that they propose are going to work because that's the intuition prompt that they give us? Thank you.
You know, when you're arguing with a civil engineering with a teacher taught us civil engineering. So your question, I will just direct it back to you. If our policies, you are saying, won't work, how is your policy at 11 p.m. still working? It's not working. In our world, is that these policies will work if we impose something, these legal certificates, all clubs, to make sure that they don't have to work without a permit. And reducing corruption will start by that education. Education to the public, to the community, to the children, and to even the schools will help us reduce corruption in our world. In your world, it will only create corruption because we know all in this world that Kenya is most corrupt. So to the question in the later closer will help because remember, people already at this time, they have already fed up with drinking already because he has drunk until went off and slept. So he will not even be able to go home at that later time. You'll maybe decide, let me go at 4 or 5 when the cars are traveling, so I will not have to use my means of traveling to cause accidents. Secondly, if you close at this time, you are reducing that issue when it comes to family and father war, because anybody who is drunk behaves very abnormally. So if this person is drunk and going home at 11, obviously we know what will happen. And this has also been shown in TVs, that these people go home and beat their wives and even cause more death than even people who are closing late at 11, let me say 4 or 5. And remember, traveling means is also the cause of more accidents in this world. If these people go at 11 p.m., they will be already drunk. They will kill a lot of people more than at my time of 4 or 5 p.m. Thank you, and I rest my case.
It has been an interesting debate from side proposition and side opposition. Side proposition being represented by JKUA University and side opposition being represented by Tangaza University. I know you're wondering who exactly has won the round and who has lost the round. And with that, we welcome our judges to give us feedback for who has won and who has lost. We welcome Brian Mwindi, the chair for this round.
Cool. My OA is split within 3 minutes. I'd like to share one of my minutes with my fellow panelists for their feedback on what is so fit for this debate.
Thank you, the proposers and the opposers. I loved your arguments. For the proposers, I loved how you proved public safety in relation to violence, alcohol-related violence, in relation to traffic, in relation to risky behaviors. I loved that. But now coming down to economic balance, resource allocation, for example, the security and stuff, you didn't bring that out clearly. Closing early means that these security officers will be able to work somewhere else. So you didn't prove that clearly. Community cohesion, the balance between people who want to work during the day and during the night, you didn't bring out that very much clearly. Thank you.
Sure. I think now the call is very, very easy. Like, it was a unanimous call that all the judges agreed on this call. The work of Tangaza today was to stop you guys again from winning, and they successfully did it. So the motion for this house was, this house believed that clubs should close at 11 p.m. for public safety and improved quality of life. Like, here we are talking about clubs closing at 11 p.m., which is like contrary to status quo, where they're open at around 24 hours. When you want it to go in the morning or at night, you still find a space and you still find alcohol. What I get from Team Prop is a lot of fiats, things to do with, autonomy and public good. All your cases like on bad decisions, which we try to like buy on it, on the intensity of harm that comes with the transit is going to be unpredictable once you're drunk, and all those kind of stuff, whereby you're going to get drunk and get out of a club, then somebody's going to like come and rob you or do something harmful to you. But again, that is a fiat, because some people are really rational, and some people go to clubs with their friends for protection and everything. And then like all those kind of intensity of harm, I think there are laws already in place in status quo to like protect you against such intensities. Again, all these things to do with marital conflict, road accidents. I don't really get the time point between 11 p.m. accident and 12 p.m. accidents. What I mean is, in your world, accidents are gonna occur whether you're drinking alcohol at 11 p.m. or you're drinking alcohol the whole day. Like, in as much as I'm gonna take you in your best case scenario, and you go to drive when you're drunk, like, of course you're gonna cause an accident at one point. Doesn't matter whether I'm closing the club at 11 or later on. So that kind of fiat, better less, they were not like credited in the debate. But I did love the way your second speaker came and tried to fight for the chances of that kind of survival for your Team Prop, where the alcohol and the judgment aspect of it, where you have like to do with more fights, which like now decreases public safety, etc., including like the intensity of harm such as death. With that, I think that was the only sustaining point that I did get from your team. And all other things and matters of engagement went to like Tangaza University, who in this debate majorly were looking in their whole case in a truth value analysis in such that, you know, you just be a human being. These are teachers. You're coming here to teach us life skills. Like, you just do your thing as long as you know you have a head above here, whereby if you choose to drink at this hour and you know there are consequences at it, please stay at the club until you're sober enough to avoid those consequences. Like on that case of weight alone, I think for them, they were able to like win on this debate. Yeah, with that, I think the call is on a unanimous that Tangaza over JKUA, 6 points for Team Tangaza.
You have heard it from the judges themselves that Tangaza has been able to amass for themselves 3 additional points. They've won 2 of their preliminary rounds, which means Tangaza is not fighting for a chance in the knockout rounds. A big win for them. Here. For Jomo Kenyatta University of Agricultural Technology, however, have not managed to score 3 points. They have just 1 point, but believably with really good speaker scores, so they might have a fighting chance in the going rounds that follow. But I mean, if you agree with the call from the judges or you don't agree, feel free to let us know. Tweet, retweet, message us on X with the hashtag Campus Debates at KTN Home. It's been an amazing debate from JKUA and Tangaza University. We appreciate Tangaza for winning this round for themselves, and we hope to see you for the very next round. And with that, we've come to the end of tonight's show. Thank you so much for spending your Monday with us. We hope to see you next week on Monday at 8 p.m. with yet another engaging debate from university students. Here.